Alright guys, we are here in the first game of SCS, the Sunday edition. It is round 1. We have Assassin Gamers versus No-Eyed Kings. With me is Nizcast. Are you here, buddy?
I'm here. I'm ready.
Awesome.
We got a rather full tournament tonight. We got it's like 64 teams, so we've got a full round of 64 right off the start. So
Yes, we do.
should be exciting.
They didn't buy anyone this time around, so it'll actually progress relatively normally, we hope. And these two teams, not really heard of them before. I kind of looked for a game where it was two teams not really heard of before. Generally speaking, in the first round, you got a lot of teams, especially because it's $100 this Sunday, that are really strong. So give a chance for some more unknown teams to get some limelight, as well as hopefully provide us a better game than a very high-skilled team in the amateur/semi-pro scene versus, you know, maybe an unestablished or unexperienced team. And both of these teams, I haven't heard of anyone, so I'm excited for it because it could go anywhere, and hopefully will be an exciting game. But Tidehunter is the first pick. Of course, the first 4 bans were relatively standard, with the exception of Brewmaster. I'd say Brewmaster is a little less common in the amateur scene. In the professional scene, again, it matters a lot more who you're playing as far as who you ban and what your strategies are. But Assassin Gamers firing back with the Viper and Razor, and if you want to fight a Tidehunter, having a Viper and Razor are two great heroes to do that. Death Prophet is the return, so we're going to have a lot of clashes and just non-stop fighting. I'm definitely predicting this game based on what we've seen so far.
Yeah, you said the panda maybe isn't too common, but nothing here is really that out of the ordinary. We've seen a lot of Viper, we've seen a lot of the Watermelon, the Tidehunter, we've seen a lot of Death Prophet, and of course Razor's been getting played a ton too. So nothing really standing out as being too surprising yet. Even another Rasta ban here, which is actually a little weird that the Radiant side with Death Prophet on their side would choose to ban out the Rasta. Because obviously that's going to give them push potential, but Rasta being as strong as a support as he is, the Dire would be looking to pick up that hero as well. So still nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Definitely agree. The bans, though, so far, I get the Wraith King ban, and I get the Rasta ban. I'm really looking to see what they're going to ban afterwards, because there's a lot of interesting heroes that change the way these kind of, I guess, run-at-you-and-fight strategies work. Heroes like Silencer, heroes like Earthshaker, are really strong to change the way the fight breaks down, especially with, like, Fisher, and with Silencer, the global. And really, I guess right now, Assassin Gamers has really strong, like, durability and decent damage output. It's definitely sustainable, and the Razor obviously takes away a lot of damage, but they don't have as much early push as the No-Eyed King, so it'll be a lot harder for them to get collateral after successful fights. But Death Prophet is definitely more geared towards that. I do like the Rubik ban. It opens up heroes like even a Enigma right now. Enigma Tidehunter is incredibly powerful, in my opinion, as a duo combo to work with. Disruptor for the extra wombo combo. And Glimpse. Glimpse is terrifying to play against, honestly. Especially against a team that is dictating the pace of the game. It becomes really hard to ever get back control of the tempo.
Yeah, once a team gets a little bit ahead and they can start applying more pressure, being a little bit more aggressive with their stance in terms of positioning in the lanes, and just on the map, it really lets Glimpse do work on the map. And you step out of place just 1 second, and that Glimpse is going to catch you. It's going to send you back halfway across the map, and you're going to be right in the middle of the enemy team. And for the next 40 seconds or so, you're going to be looking at your fountain. Omni Knight.
Yes, and we've only seen this once in the last 3 days we've cast, and that was pulled out by Red Bulls, of course, with 11 and Pablo. Definitely a strong team in their right, so I'm interested to see.
He was played this morning in a pro match.
He was, okay.
It was, I believe it was played by MVP Phoenix. They played it this morning, and they didn't win that game, but they played it. They put it mid, so these guys were watching that.
Well, yeah, and I mean after TI, there's definitely a lot more or I guess differentiation or different styles of picks in the competitive or in the pro level meta, because of obviously there's less money being played for, so it's more about figuring out what you're going to do for the rest of the year. But we do see the Mirana pick up for No-Eyed Kings. That gives them a lot of push potential. However, they don't really have a guaranteed stun outside of Ravage. Arrow's not that guaranteed. I mean, yeah, you can be Chuan and MMI and you can hit arrows, but generally speaking, even those teams don't just rely on it. They have some sort of setup or just something else to work with, so Mirana isn't basically shooting in the dark for arrows, even though you can have vision and stuff. It really just depends on how the other team reacts. But I like Omni Knight against what they're dealing with, because Omni Knight can repel critical hero like Razor and allow their mech to not be removed. Doom is banned, so it's not like you're going to ever stop that mech from coming out when repels on him. And then as long as Omni Knight doesn't get caught out in anything, he can always like heal people up. But the big thing is Guardian Angel against Death Prophet. I really think that nullifies pretty much all of her. Crypt Swarm is great damage, but it's nothing compared to what she does with her ultimate.
Yeah, you've got Viper and Razor, two heroes that during that early mid-game transition or even mid-game really like to run at heroes. And if you can be able to throw a repel on them and be able to back that up with a heal as the repel's coming down, then those heroes can play really, really ballsy and really get in your face. And going back to what you were saying about the Mirana, it really depends on how this No-Eyed Kings team likes to play Mirana. You know, a lot of teams will just play her as kind of a safe lane carry and let her get a little bit of items, get off the ground, and start getting into the game, then start throwing arrows. Other teams like to play it as a support. I prefer it to be played as a support, and this kind of put pressure around the map by throwing arrows. Yeah, maybe they might be Hail Mary arrows at different points, but the threat is always there, and that puts a lot of pressure on the enemy team. And the other thing I wanted to note is I just remembered the Omni Knight that was played this morning was also played against a Death Prophet mid. That's also something to note. And we see AA coming out, which obviously would be a decent counter to Omni Knight, stopping his heals, but it also stops the Death Prophet heals. But was it picked for that? Probably not. It was probably just picked because it's an incredible support that's going to go really well with the Viper Razor.
Well, I think it just adds to, like, the ultimate just adds to the control that Viper and Razor give. And one thing I kind of want to note too is that Viper and Razor are incredibly stable, ungreedy supports. They'll pretty much always dominate their lanes and get the items they need to do what they want to do. And Omni Knight and AA are relatively greedy supports. And so this is going to be a game where the supports are not going to be really called upon to protect the Razor middle or protect the Viper middle. Shadow Demon does come up here though, and honestly, if there was a roaming combo that would force your supports to rotate, it's got to be this one, because if you're not on spot, it's going to be a free kill every single time, especially if the Shadow Demon knows how to body block with the disruption.
Yeah. This whole game that happened this morning is coming back to me. So it was Omni Knight mid, right? And they also had a support Shadow Demon. And what the Shadow Demon was doing was running in and he was banishing, putting down Soul Catcher, and then the heal was coming out, and the heroes were just exploding from the other team. Like, if you got a disruption on a support hero, it was just dead. As soon as it came out of the disruption, it was just dead. The heal
It's
bomb
double
just
peer
did so much
damage too.
Yeah.
For the last bans, we do see Weaver and Batrider getting banned out. No surprise on the Batrider there. They have the Radiant side has the initiation control with a Blink Tide and Disruption and Mirana arrows and Mirana ult. So I really like that ban. And then the Weaver ban definitely makes some sense. There's a lot of physical damage amp coming out of Weaver, but Weaver's just one of those heroes that if he's not controlled in the fight from the get-go, he's just going to scuttle along, do some damage, tickle you here and there, and eventually that tickling is going to turn into a Desolator or some other form of damage that's just amps with his Geminate attack.
And they have no way to deal with it.
Yeah,
They
have no stuns.
no way
Yeah,
to deal
they have
with
literally
it at
no
all.
stuns. Cold Feet's great, except for he has haste movement speed.
They could right-click him the second he pops out, but then he's just going to Shikuchi and run away again.
Yep.
And just be annoying like he is. And at which point, Death Prophets.
Yeah, they don't even have a.
Just be doing everything.
They have literally no stuns or silence coming out of the Dire side, and that's something that's worth noting. And they have a lot of slows. They have Viper, they have Degen Aura, and there we go. If you needed stuns, Centaur Warrunner is a great option. He can blink, stun in. Hoofstomp has a great AoE radius. His burst damage is insane. He adds to the tankiness of your Viper Razor, and also his ult is an incredible slow that allows you to catch up to things. So I really like that as a final rounding off piece. And they also just have so much beef in front of the Omni Knight and AA, and Omni Knight and AA are just going to throw right clicks and purifications,
10
repels, and
seconds
what
to
are you
go.
going to do to stop those 3 heroes when they have a mech and a pipe? So
Five
I like what's
seconds.
coming out right now.
Well, here's the thing. The Dire team is definitely a face rush kind of strategy. They're going to pop that
Reserve
Centaur
time.
Warrunner ult. They're going to run at you. They've got the Omni Knight heals to back them up. They've got the Guardian Angel, of course, to keep them alive against Death Prophet ult. Exorcism. They got Ancient Apparition buffing the damage of everyone. Razor's going to steal damage. Viper's going to slow the hell out of everyone. So they're going to rush your face down. The problem is you've got a Tidehunter on the other team who can throw out a big Ravage and really stop that face rush from happening. Death Prophet can land big silences. She can have her Exorcism up. As long as she can, get off the ground, pun intended, I guess, with a Yule Scepter fairly early in the game, she can survive that initial rush. Mirana ult can
And there's that Enigma.
Shadow Demon Banish can do a lot of stuff there too. And of course Enigma too now. Enigma is just, you can face rush us, we're going to Ravage, and if you're clumped up, well, Black Hole's coming on the back of that too. And you're not repelling someone out of Black Hole. And you've got no way to interrupt it besides Centaur Stomp. So
No, definitely agree with that. And
don't misstep, because we're going to be able to punish you.
that's basically the breakdown of this entire game. So we'll see how both of the teams do their dance. And before I introduce, it looks like for some reason my audio is just not working in the thing. Enable the mic. There we go. Now it works. The speech
I'll
bubble
check.
is popping up. We are good. Don't worry. No, it's in Dota TV. So for
Mine was
the
going. Okay.
Radiant team, we have the No-Eyed Kings. We have, oh no, Azure Kayaks playing the Mirana. Looks to be a core Mirana. Maybe. Interesting build for support Mirana. We have Enigma being played by PK OQ. We have Flowers picking up the Shadow Demon Aziriel, the captain, picking up the Mid-Death Prophet. And finally, Kaiwi Murphy picking up the Tidehunter, presumably offlane.
I giggled there for a second as I saw you were had a few difficult names to pronounce, and I looked at the ones I had to pronounce. And, good luck to me on this one, but on the Team Assassin Gamers, we've got on the Viper playing the Viper. We have Li Zhu. I hope I did that well. Don't get mad at me, as we see some aggression here. I hope you're following this on the camera.
Yep.
We got Davin playing the Ancient Apparition. We got Ziad 430 playing the Razor. We got Dennis on the Centaur, and we got Meichi on the Omni.
And Dennis on the Centaur is going to get disrupted up by the Shadow Demon arrow. Comes through. It is going to whiff as he does roll around. And now the Malefice comes out as well. But they're not going to get that kill. And unfortunately, one big thing to note, Malefice was skilled by Enigma, and so he can't start jungle or deny creeps early on. So a little bit of misplays coming from the Radiant side.
Yeah, they put a lot into that. They used a smoke. They put 5 heroes up there. They're not going to be in their lanes that time. They lost control of their jungle, so this Dire team was able to get in there, get some wards up, do everything they wanted. So Enigma's already going to have a difficult time there. And then, of course, you've got the Enigma who skilled Malefice instead of his demonic conversion to get those Eidolons up so he could start jungling. But different lanes than I was kind of expecting here. But we'll see how this turns out.
Well, they can put a lot of pressure on with these lanes. It's going to be interesting, the top lane, though. I think that's the most important one for the Dire in a lot of ways, and the Radiant too. But if the Dire gets a lot of loss or deaths on the Centaur, then Centaur is going to be stalled out on his blink level and other important things that they really need to round out their lineup. Whereas I think the other lanes will be relatively stable. I mean, Viper's going to get farm, obviously. There's nothing that's going to stop him, and if they dare try to fight, you have Purification, Chilling Touch, and of course Viper Poison Attack. It's never going to end well.
Yeah, so Omni was just doing a good job there of just blocking the pole camp, making sure that his aggro tri-lane is going to get all the advantage that they need. It doesn't look like the Radiant team is going to be pulling anytime soon. And we got just kind of Enigma standing here, leeching experience, trying to get that level 2 desperately. One thing I don't like is that Omni Knight is wearing a hat. And I think Omni Knight's got some of the best hair in Dota. And he should not be wearing a hat.
The Niz bias is real, guys. The Niz bias is
You
real.
can't cover that up.
Those golden locks from Omni Knight. It's golden locks. Well, now Enigma does finally get that next level into his or level 2, so he can have those Eidolons. And it looks like he might actually catch out this ancient apparition. And with the Malefice, Eidolons do a surprising amount of physical damage. He throws down that Ice Vortex. It wasn't really needed because the Eidolons were going to block anyways. In middle lane, we have quite a bit of value trade in HP, but looks like Razor's going to get the end of that, although he did pick up his bottle. Looks like Death Prophet is 900 gold, has yet to send out her bottle. Interesting there. I would have expected her to send it out. Meanwhile, top lane, actually a disruption does go off with the arrow. Stop turn around by the Centaur onto the Mirana, dealing about half her HP, but the double range from that lane is just going to force him back. Not going to be too much. So a lot of trading, but nothing substantial yet happening besides that level 1 gank. But honestly, experiencing...
He needs to be careful. Sorry.
Yeah, he definitely does. But what all I was going to say is that the Radiant team needs to not let that affect them at all. They need to, definitely get away from that because maybe top lane disruption arrow. It's going to be only 2 seconds. There is the stomp. He does have double edge if he wants to use it, but no, he'll just go ahead and run away. And I don't think anything will happen there. But they need to not let that affect them because the game is relatively even considering that. And also, I like their laning setup from this point on because they're running an aggressive dual lane that stops the Centaur from really farming. Although he still has gotten 10 CS somehow, they should be stopping him a lot harder. And then they have the Enigma jungling, where there's an aggressive tri-lane, sapping, 1 lane worth of experience.
That was a little bit weird. So Shadow Demon just went and used a Sentry Ward to block the pull camp for the Dire side, but I don't see them ever really pulling. Maybe he thinks that the Centaur is going to be playing a lot more safe because he doesn't have mana to Hoof Stomp. Because the Shadow Demon and the Mirana, although they've given the Centaur more than he should have, they've been doing a good job of playing aggressive on him and trying to use their mana, although they're not doing it right now, which I find a little weird. But they've got quite a bit of mana. They should be putting pressure on him, getting him out of that lane, because he shouldn't be getting anywhere near as much as he is.
No, I definitely agree. And same story with the Tidehunter. He already has 1,000 gold. He might get like a 5-minute Arcane Boots against an aggressive tri-lane solo, and honestly, that should not happen. So both teams kind of not punishing the solo lanes as much as they should. I definitely feel like there's a lot more the Radiant can do, though, because the most that the Dire can do is, or I guess Assassin Kings, or Assassin Gamers, is just spam that slow and hope for the best. Middle, maybe?
Oh, I should have held on to the haste. There's been some pretty good trades mid, and Razor looks like he's been coming out ahead of those, and I thought he was actually going to hold on to that haste for a little bit.
And he might actually now, as he does have the static link and the haste running, still linked 42 damage, chooses not to dive. A little interesting there. He has 2 bottle charges, but new creep wave coming. It looks like the Omni Knight is going to spy out the Enigma, who does rotate into middle lane. Backing up here casually.
At first glance, that dive actually looked like it wouldn't have been too good for him, because he would have had to gone pretty deep under that tower to get the kill. But with his Omni Knight just at basically the old easy camp, just on the above ground, he probably could have dove there, because he would have had a heal backing him up. But maybe he didn't know his Omni was there, just maybe lack of communication, or maybe he's saying, you know what, I'm beating this Death Prophet, let's not risk it.
Yeah, and he is, and at this point it's getting more substantial. 8 CS lead. In fact, I believe he does have the deny lead as well. Yes, 9 denies over, so that does start to add up. Something like 300 experience that has been denied in that lane. Although she is relatively even on experience, so if we go to the golden experience graph, we'll see that the laning phase is actually just kind of even in a lot of ways. One team getting a little bit of a gold advantage from better last hitting. The Dire team is getting better experience because their laning setup. However, there will be a disruption top, and unfortunately every time the Mirana and the SD are just standing like within 400 units of each other when they set up this combo. It's never premeditated.
Centaur doesn't know that this Enigma's up here.
You're right, but they do have this.
I don't know if this ward's gonna see.
It actually, no, it should see. It should see the Eidolons, and yeah, now he should be completely safe. There's no reason for him to die here. We do see the Death Prophet pick up an Illusion Rune. We'll run into her own jungle here. Centaur ult is popped, but it looks like the Centaur's running in to get the kills here, trying to run away. I don't know why he got caught out here. Looks like right clicks are going to secure the first blood as it does go to the Mirana. Omni Knight looking to run in and turn that around. Not too much backup. Razor does TP into the tower, however. Throws out his static charge. Now, static link onto Enigma. Not enough damage, I'm pretty sure, but oh no, he does dive.
At least one. Oh.
Very good plays by them. And it's not static charge.
I think he could have kept
static
going.
field, and Death Prophet in the bottom lane does get a double kill Did not see that happen. Her first kill was on the Ancient Apparition and does clean up the Viper, so a wipe in the tri-lane. Centaur diving after this kill, a little bit questionable as he will be turned around upon, and now a triple kill goes to the Death Prophet, Azerial. I don't really know what to say there. As far as like the bottom lane stuff, I didn't get to see what happened. I assume you were watching top as well. But that dive was definitely unquestionable. And now it looks like actually Omni Knight making another questionable decision. Man's up against the Mirana here and will die there. Lots of TPs happening here from the Radiant team going up into the top lane. We do see Viper back into bottom as well as the AA, but I don't really know what to make of that. It looks like just a few questionable decisions coming out of the Dire team, leading to unnecessary deaths.
Yeah, just getting ahead of themselves. You know, that's unfortunately that's what we see a lot of in some of this amateur play. Just players kind of getting a little ahead of themselves. I think, you know, Centaur's maybe feeling good about how top lane went. He got a lot more than he really should have in that lane. And I have a feeling this Razor's had been letting his team know that he was winning mid pretty hard too. So maybe they just thought they were a little further ahead in the game than they were. Maybe they just got a little too confident. And then they go chasing a Death Prophet with Centaur, who's Tide's in a lot of trouble here. He's just...
Yeah, we'll get picked off in the jungle. And that is a good turnaround kill. Using the Viper, they have the Viper Strike, but yeah, Enigma gets stomped and Double Edge taking quite a bit of damage. Disruption comes onto the Centaur to stop the chase, but there's no creeps here to deny Enigma, and he is trapped out. We'll see if the Centaur knows about this juking spot, and he does not. They should realize that he couldn't have gone anywhere. He does have a TP. No, that's the Centaur who has a TP scroll. They should realize as they pop the Mirana ulti, so he can run away. But yeah, most people don't know that you can run into here and hide in that little pocket. And it looks like Death Prophet will get a cleanup kill on the AA right here as he was going to ward, I presume. She will then pick up a Void Stone, getting closer to that Eul Scepter, looking about 1,600 gold away.
Yeah, I don't understand why Centaur didn't check. He, regardless of not knowing about that juke spot, he could see to the right. He saw that Enigma didn't run to the right. He could also see the left. He knew that Enigma didn't cut back through the trees and go to the left. So where did he go?
Yeah.
Did he think he just TP'd in a second? I don't know.
That's where the importance of like studying professional playing. Yeah, just knowing all these little juking spots is something you really should put some emphasis on. You know, it's not too hard if you just practice, you know, and understand a few of them every time you play, and eventually you'll get them all.
That's a common one too. That's how you choke point jungle.
Yeah. Just like this one right here in the Radiant Jungle, if you don't know about it, you can actually hide between these trees and you will be completely invisible. Even if they run right up next to, like right up here, they have to literally hug you. They could be walking right through that lane and they will not see you. So there's lots of little spots, but that aside, top lane is going to get sieged by the Death Prophet and the Mirana. Ulti being used, doing quite a bit of damage, down to 500 HP. Dire trying to mount a defense, but it doesn't look like they want to commit to anything yet. They do have Centaur ulti. They do have level 7 as well. 3 points into that Double Edge. He can go ahead and run in here, but it looks like they're waiting for the Exorcism to expire, as there's about 5 seconds left. Will that be their key to go? Because it's going to expire in 1 second here, and now it is over. They have the choice to pop Centaur ult, Disruption onto the Razor in the river. Will pop an Invis rune, and Enigma's there as well, but it looks like the Shadow Demon might get caught off, as Razor does have those phase boots as well as the Centaur ult coming out, and that will be the death of Shadow Demon, as Razor gets a free pick in the jungle. So a little bit of mistakes coming out of the Radiant side as well. That Shadow Demon, I mean, he was checking rune, but I don't know. You got to be careful about a Razor.
I think he thought Razor was going to be up top.
Arrow by Mirana, and it looks like she wants to try to turn it. She does leap, but she gets stomped as she's leaped, so they do have access to the Double Edge, but not enough follow-up or any follow-up stuns. Cold Feet is obviously not going to latch there, and the game goes back to farming again, and we have Viper leading the last hit charts, which is kind of important because he has picked up a full mechanism. 11 minutes into this game, we see that Tidehunter most likely is going for a mechanism, or he might be going for that blink. Actually, gank on Viper coming as the Enigma rolls in behind Malefice as well as Anchor Smash, dealing quite a bit of damage. The right clicks might be enough to finish this up, but with support from his teammates, they might not be able to get this kill. The Cold Feet comes out on Tidehunter, preventing him from chasing, and then they get the Purification onto Viper. Now Tidehunter caught in the corner. Looks like Omni Knight's going to go for the body blocks. He does zone him out, and now taking quite a bit of damage from that Plasma Field as well as the right clicks from the other 4 heroes will die. And that looks like it will be a turnaround kill, as great reaction by the Dire team. And now Exorcism pop by Death Prophet will secure that middle tower.
Yeah, it actually looked like the Radiant was thinking of re-engaging with the Enigma and the Shadow Demon there. That's why I was saying the AA needs to be careful because she was, or he was pushing down quite far to make sure the Tide couldn't escape, and he was already low health. But that middle tower was actually pretty big. That means Death Prophet did finish her Yule Scepter. She was about 700 away as they got backed away from the top push. But yeah, that allows her to finish it. So that was a big item I was talking about to help keep her alive when the face rush starts happening. But we haven't seen much of that yet. As the Radiant side looks like they want to keep pressure on.
And meanwhile, bottom lane, disruption onto an Omni Knight who's already taken a lot of damage. They have the Malefice as well as the right clicks. Azerial will clean up that kill. And definitely good coordination coming out of them, and they can turn this into a siege. Exorcism still has 60 seconds for a cooldown, and Razor is rotating in here, not going for that mech because his Viper did pick it up. Will rush that Aghanims, so they will have that push power coming out of him sooner. But top tower does go down to the split push from Mirana. She does have that Aquila ring as well as treads, so can push decently quick herself if you leave her alone and don't deal with it.
And the quite a bit of farm that Tide got in.
Oh, 4 heroes now coming bottom for the Dire as Static Link onto Death Prophet dealing quite a bit of damage. Ooh. They do pop the Centaur ulti, but it doesn't look like they're coordinating it. Flowers does get caught off at the end of the Centaur ult, and they will clean up that kill. Dust did hit the Death Prophet, but it doesn't look like they went to pursue there. A little bit of miscommunication coming out between the Razor and the Centaur, or hesitation out of the Razor, because he could have easily dove there. We do know everything because we have both Fog of Wars on as the commentators, but that's kind of where experience kicks in, and you know, well, I saw these heroes here, you know, they cannot be ready, and I have the HP, etc. to do this, but they will go ahead and get this tower down.
Tide is lying in wait, and he's got his Blink Dagger on him. Just picked that up, so...
7 seconds till Ravage, it's worth knowing. Arrow flings out onto Viper, that's a 5-second arrow. Death Prophet will pop the ulti, taking quite a bit of damage as she right-clicks to focus him with the spirits, but the Viper ulti comes out, and now the Black Hole hits on 4 heroes, the Ravage hits on another 4, as they're trying to focus him down. The Omni Knight looks like he's going to go close it down, and the Razor finally does fall, but at the trade of the Death Prophet and the Enigma, now Kiwi is going to fall on the Tidehunter as Flowers and the Shadow Demon is getting picked up in the back. Arrow is going to hit on the Centaur, but Mirana is the only one to walk out as the face roll strat absolutely dominates there because of the great timing on the Guardian Angel. Healed up his entire team during that black hole, and I'm not sure who he repelled, but the way that that fight broke down, the Ravage and the black hole were great as far as what they hit, but the damage just wasn't there, it seemed like.
So what happened is obviously that arrow flew in and stunned up the Viper, and like I said, Tide was lying in wait below the tower. Right as he was about to blink in, Razor did a really good job of sending out a plasma field. That hit Tide. It also let them know where he was, and it made sure he wasn't able to blink. So Tide actually didn't even blink in. He ended up walking in and throwing off the Ravage. But just that moment that the plasma field went out stopped that initiation, while the whole Radiant team was already running in, forced the Enigma to throw down the black hole. And you called 4. It actually only hit 2. I thought it was going to hit 3 for sure, but Razor was just on the outside, and I forget which hero was on the top, but he was also just on the edge of it as well. But he wasn't in it either. So it actually only hit 2. The Ravage did hit 4, but they were kind of overlapped, and a lot of that just was because the plasma field came out. Had Tide been able to blink, get off the Ravage in time before the plasma field, then we would have been looking at probably a guaranteed 4-man black hole and a very different team fight.
Completely agree with that. Just going through the items for the stream as well as myself. Of course, the item pickups on the Dire are starting to get a lot bigger and more impactful. However, the Radiant is going to pick up that mechanism soon on Enigma. Does have the double recipe. We see a Yules as well as an arrow onto Centaur. He does pop his ult, but runs right into it. Razor is stealing the damage from Death Prophet. The heal comes out onto Centaur, doing quite a bit of damage. AL whiffs here as actually Razor goes down to 300 HP. It looks like Death Prophet is relatively low as she gets double edged down to 100 HP, but will pop that DD as well as the bottle charges. Chasing out here, they do have the Mirana ult running at the same time, but she is taking damage continually from the corrosive skin. In the background, they do get the purge out, and now the arrow actually gets the headshot on Centaur as the purge also helps slow that down, and now Tide will blink back forward, and he does have 2 points in Gush hits on the AA. Will they continue to chase that? It does have Ravage as well, but Viper throws out the Viper Strike onto Tidehunter, so they will have to back. So a lot of posturing and ability usage, but not much out of that besides the kill on the Centaur for the Radiant, which is really what they want. If those kind of fights happen and it ends poorly, it ends quickly for them.
I think that smoke was actually still in vision of the
AA blast, yeah.
Ice blast from AA, but I don't think they're going to be able to catch him here unless...
Looks like
Oh,
Razor's
maybe they
actually
didn't see it.
staying in.
Razor's just going to hang around mid.
And now they should set up so the Shadow Demon is leading. He can throw that disruption. They're running for it. It looks like they're just going to choose to use the Yules. Arrow does fly through. It hits 5 seconds. They have the Gush as well as the Purge, and this will be an easy cleanup. Death Prophet netting that kill, of course. And now we'll see the siege onto this tower. Yeah, they definitely should have been able to see the edges of it, but they would have had their camera on it. Would have had to had their camera on it, so... Maybe not at that moment, nobody really paying attention at that specific point in the map, and that will mean that with the death of Razor, this tower is more easily sieged. It is worth noting that Ravage is still online. A blast is coming through, will hit on 4 heroes. Centaur blinks, stomps in, gets another 2 heroes. They have the double edge, but the Great Silence coming out of Death Prophet stops that black hole on another 2 heroes. They're cleaning it up. The Centaur will fall. The Omni Knight dropping down to low health does get the Guardian Angel off as well as the Purification on himself, and that's the death of Enigma. And now we see Death Prophet throwing out the ulti, Viper Strike onto Tidehunter, and that will be the disengage. Maybe they can continue to push here, but the Omni Knight just doing work there with his utility sets of spells to help disengage for his team, and Razor does respawn at this point and now can help. The arrow does fling out, misses Ancient Apparition by the chins, or the hairs on his chin, and now we see the ult coming out, might hit on 3, hits on 2 for sure. The Static Link onto Death Prophet, getting 56 damage onto Razor. Looks like they will find the Shadow Demon off on the right side. They get a Viper Strike to slow him down. He will disrupt himself as well as the Mirana ult, and if they don't have detection, it will be a escape. I lied though, because they have AoE that hits anyways from that plasma field. So again, interesting fights coming out. It just seems like both teams are mis-executing a little bit enough that neither of them can capitalize on the other team's mistakes.
The way that fight was shaping up, that should have been an easy team fight for the Radiant side, and you know, they had a pretty good Ravage, they had a pretty good Black Hole, but I didn't see.
Oh, arrow onto Centaur as he blinks forward for the stomp. Does get the repel on him, and now AA ult blast coming out will miss most of the heroes. It looks like TP coming in from the Shadow Demon, that is. Purification onto the Omni Knight onto himself, but it misses everything. They do have the disruption on him, dealing quite a bit of damage, and that will be an easy pickoff.
Way too manly there. But
yeah.
As we go back to the fight before, as I was saying, I wasn't sure where the Death Prophet silence was used, but it wasn't on the back of the Black Hole. So as soon as the Black Hole ended, Omni Knight just popped his Guardian Angel, and a couple heroes were able to walk away. So they just need to tighten up that timing, make sure the silence is covering the end of the Black Hole, making sure that Omni can't get that Guardian Angel off. And I think they also should have focused him. He was the last target that they were going for, but they definitely had an opportunity to kill him before Guardian Angel, and they chose not to.
Yep. Most definitely. So we'll go ahead and take this, I guess, pause in the action as that middle tower falls to recheck our golden experience graphs. We do see the gold starting to go towards the favor of the Radiant as well as the experience. There was that major dip for that massive team fight in the bottom lane as they did get that tower. And item-wise, this is going to mean the game is going to get even as far as items go. The Aghanim's almost coming up on Razor, but on the other side, the smoke, yes, it will be a while before they get to anything. In fact, they don't have any vision on any targets. This is kind of a smoke in the dark. Not really sure where they're going to go. It looks like they're going to go straight top. This creep wave does reveal the heroes. And actually, we see a Mystic Staff getting picked up by Death Prophet. So possibly a Sheep and or Shiva's coming out of here for Staff for Tidehunter, as he does have that Ring of Health. And now it looks like they're going to be nearby. They do put the repel onto Centaur as they come by. They will pop the Centaur ulti as the Blink Stomp does miss. Now all 4 heroes grouped together. We'll see if anything can happen out of this. They do get the Viper Strike onto Shadow Demon as Death Prophet pops the Exorcism and a 4-hero Ravage hits. 4-hero Ravage, and now the Black Hole off cooldown. Can't line it up, dealing quite a bit of damage with the Exorcism. 1 hero will fall. Second will be the Enigma. And now 3 heroes are down for the Dyers. They're taking quite a bit of damage from that Exorcism. Azerial with the triple kill. And I really didn't know what to say. I was kind of prepping myself for the Black Hole, but it was off, or not, yeah, it was on cooldown until he died. Then finally coming off of cooldown. But great Ravage coming out there. The Omni Knight tried, but they just couldn't catch and kill the Death Prophet, and she just chipped away at them from the edges as they controlled the team fight, it looked like.
What did I say during the draft? You try to face rush, and you get out of position a little bit, and you let Tide throw down a big Ravage like he did there, and you're going to lose the team fight pretty hard. And that's exactly what happened there. They didn't even, once again, they didn't silence the Omni Knight. He was able to get Guardian Angel off, but it didn't matter. They still got completely run over in the team fight. So, well, I shouldn't say completely run over, but the Radiant Tide definitely dominated that team fight, even though the Guardian Angel came out.
Definitely.
Visibility.
Most
And like you said, no
definitely.
black hole either.
So at this point in the game, is both teams
Dire's
have,
bottom tower
I guess, not
is
thrown to you know, not to be mean, but you know, made mistakes in these team fights. But where would you put your bet? Where would you put your advantage? Which side are you liking more right now as far as the game is going? As we do see an arrow come out from Mirana, actually does hit on AA. That will be a 5-second stun and an easy double star fall for a free pick.
She even has the haste to get out of there too. But yeah, I definitely you have to put it on the Radiant side here. The Dire side was very execution based. They had to be snowballing a lot harder at this point in the game. They had some upsides, but they're behind at this point in the game, and they're behind by quite a bit. And with their lineup, they can't be behind this far. And I think it's very difficult. It's going to be very difficult for them to really execute and win these team fights. It all is going to come down to the Radiant side and their execution now. Being able to make sure that they put down good ravages, that they got good black holes, that their Death Prophet doesn't die. Death Prophet doesn't die at the start of the fight, and they get relatively good ravages and relatively good black holes. They're just going to win these team fights. I don't see them losing a team fight unless Death Prophet just explodes off the start of the fight. Which, how did they do it? How did they explode Death Prophet at the start? Death Prophet's starting to get tanky. I imagine next she's going to go for a heart, and then you're not killing her with that team.
Most definitely fair points, Niz, and we saw right there that they were just scared to engage. Definitely driving home what you're saying. They don't know how they're going to jump past that exorcism. It's not like you're going to blink over it. So we'll see what they come up with here as Roshan is spotted out here by the Radiant. It hasn't been taken yet this game, but I imagine Death Prophet putting her eyes in there says they want to take it soon. They're thinking about it. Smoke up actually from the Dire as they do miss. The Tidehunter does blink immediately as that smoke is blown, so now they will know the Dire side wants to gank them with this smoke. We'll see if they'll be able to get it. Actually, they'll just turn it maybe into Roshan attempt. It doesn't actually look like it. It's actually, we did see the Ags pick up by Viper and by the Razor, which is definitely worth noting. Were there any other items, pickups that were missed? I pointed at, I didn't say, but Death Prophet as a Shiva's was on her earlier. But that looks like about it as far as major item pickups.
Yeah, so the Dire side actually thought that the Radiant side was doing the jungle, was doing Roshan there. So they smoked up and they pushed out, and that's what they have to do. They have to smoke. They have to get a pick off because, like I said, 5v5 team fights probably not going to go the best for them right now. And Ancient Apparition's flying out another smoke, so they're going to try just that. They're going to smoke up again and push out. This is actually a little bit of a dangerous spot to smoke up if they're going to use it right now, because they have no way of knowing whether there's a Radiant ward there. And this is a pretty common spot for a Radiant to have a ward at this point in the game. They don't, but they very well could have. So they should have put a sentry down just to make sure, or stepped uphill, but they don't, and they're pushing out now with the smoke, and they're looking to pick off someone top. It looks like they're going to get Enigma here.
And yeah, they are going to get the hoof stomp onto him as the Cold Feet follows up as well. 4 heroes grouped up as the AA Blast actually misses all of them. They're dealing quite a bit of damage as Flowers attempts to teleport out. He doesn't get out. Purification getting the final bit of damage onto him as the other 3 heroes will escape to their side of the map, and that was definitely a good rotation coming out of them. And this is exactly what they need. If they don't get these kind of picks, if they don't snowball the fight, or I guess chain the fight one by one, then they're never going to win the fight.
Yeah, and the only problem is you're not getting anything now.
Yeah, they need to get
kills,
collateral.
You can't get a tower on the back of this. The lanes are pushed too hard. You can't even swing Roche. He's too far. So unfortunately, they're not going to get a tower on the back of it, but it was a step in the right direction. They got 2 kills, and that's what they need to do. They need to use their smokes and get pick-offs like that, and then hopefully be able to push on the back of it. You know, whether that's capturing a Roche or capturing some vital towers. You know, obviously there's a lot of gold on the map in those top tier, the top 2 towers, which are typically free. Not at this point in the game, but they're relatively free from the Radiant side. So yeah, it's just It's just what they got to keep doing. I don't know how many smokes they still have. I don't think I can check that.
Yeah, you can. You go to their shop there on cooldown for
Oh, yeah,
225, whereas the Radiant does have 3 at their disposal, not using any of them yet. So if things got worse, they do have their option to smoke. It looks like they want to pressure up here. They're trying to control the side of the map, and I don't blame them. They have this tower as well for Roshan control. I should draw on that on the ground over there. That tower allows them to have stronger, actually quicker Rosh response than the Dire side, who normally does have Rosh advantage in a traditional Dota game. But this is not going in favor of the Radiant, or of the Dire, sorry, as they do set up in their base for what might be the final defense here. Death Prophet is set up yet to pop that Exorcism. She did pick up a Reaver while we were rambling on about the game. Viper Strike hits Death Prophet, dealing quite a bit of damage, but they will just go ahead and force staff her up, and they can even mech her up if they want to. She does have decent passive regen as well, worth noting. 7.2 with that mechanism, as well as all the strength she has. And they could just pop Exorcism and go here, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. Yule Scepter is still available for her as well. AA ult coming out. Looks like it's going to fly over, as AA just wasn't paying attention, unfortunately, and that means it's not even going to get used. Lets it fly off the map. Viper Strike runs out, but it does get Yule's dodged, as Centaur is running forward, misses his stomp. Not going to get anything out of that. The Ravage comes out as well, hits another 2, but they get the disruption onto the target, onto Razor, while he's linking. Does have 84 damage. They might be able to clean this up, but no. Razor taking too much damage from the Midnight Pulse, as well as the Exorcism. They still have Black Hole, with his worth noting, as Viper does take quite a bit of damage. He blinks forward with the Enigma, gets the Black Hole onto AA. But that is a full team wipe. And it looks like a potential bottom racks, and GG getting called out by the Dire.
Yeah, that was not the crispest. I don't even think that's a word. Whatever. Execution from the Dire side there on that last engagement, and it was a little forced. And the Centaur tried to force it a little bit more and getting a good stomp down, but turns out he actually missed both heroes. But yeah, they had an execution lineup, and they struggled to execute. The Radiant side wasn't 100% perfect on their executions either, but they did have some big ravages and some big black holes, and Death Prophet managed to stay alive, and they walked away with the win.
Well, fair enough, Niz. And of course, guys, if you enjoyed this cast, you should follow my Twitch. It's right below you guys. Also, you can check out all the VODs will be uploaded at /user/DotaRaptors on YouTube. And then there's also my Twitter at DotaRaptors. And of course, if you're enjoying Niz, check him out as well at Twitch TV/Nizcast, and of course at Nizcast as well, which is in the title for you guys. So again, thank you so much for watching. We'll be bringing you guys the next game as soon as we're in the lobby. I will update the title as well as the wait screen as we move along. So thank you guys, and we will be back in the next few minutes.